Welcome to another episode of the RKMCS Criminology Lecture Series. Today, I will discuss to you the early legal systems and the early legal codes. It is my hope that at the end of this lecture, you could be able to refresh your knowledge about the historical foundations of our modern legal systems. There are three major legal systems that influence the legal codes worldwide. They are as follows. First, we have the Roman laws. The Roman laws are the legal system of ancient Rome, including the legal developments spanning over 1,000 years of jurisprudence, from the 12 tables around 449 BC to the Corpus Juris Civilis of 529 AD, ordered by Emperor Justinian I. Second, we have the Anglo-American laws, also known as the common laws, a system of principles and rules grounded on the universal custom or natural laws. These are being developed, articulated, and applied by courts in a process designed for the resolution of individual controversies. These sets of laws were the basis of all Anglo-American legal systems. Third, we have the Muhammadan or Arabic laws. These are a set of laws founded from the teachings of the Islamic prophet Muhammad, which established the Muhammadan principles of religion, doctrines, institutions and practices. Now, there is another special set of laws which are called secular laws. These are also a group of legal principles based from the philosophies influenced by the views of Christian philosophers such as those of St. Thomas Aquinas. However, among all these bases of legal system, it was the Roman laws that became most pervading and influential. Our legal system in the Philippines is almost found on the Roman laws, but with modifications based from the Anglo-American laws, and a few inspirations from the Mohammedan and secular laws. Now, let us talk about the early legal codes. Number 1. The Babylonian and Sumerian codes, which include the Code of Ur-Nammu about 2050 BC, the Code of Ishana dated 1930 BC, the Code of Lipizhtar dated 1860 BC, and the popular Code of Hammurabi dated 1780 BC. The Code of Ur-Nammu of 2050 BC is acknowledged by scientists, through archaeological diggings, to be the first law system in the world, belonged to the Mesopotamians, specifically the Sumerians. One of the most ancient legislators named Ur-Nammu, who was the ruler of the city of Ur, had a code detailing the punishments for witchcraft, the escapades of slaves and assault. The Code of Ishana of 1930 BC was another Sumerian code which forbid accepting money or objects from the hands of a slave or making loans or any transactions with a slave. Moneylenders are likewise forbidden from taking hostages, whether free men or slaves. The Code of Lipizhtar of 1860 BC is a more popular version of the Sumerian law which chronicles the rights of citizens, marriages, successions, property rights and penalties. The Code of King Hammurabi of 1780 BC was a Babylonian code that prescribes harsh punishment. Punishments were calculated according to the principles of lex talionis or the law of retaliation. Death penalties could also be imposed on crimes such as murder, and several kinds of execution, depending on the nature of the crime. Next, we have the Greek and the Roman codes. Let us start with the Greek Code of Draco of 621 BC. In Greece, around this year, the Code of Draco was enforced. It was a harsh code that provides the same punishment for both citizens and the slaves as it incorporates primitive concepts. The penalty for many offenses was death. So severe, that the word draconian comes from his name and has come to mean, in the English language, an unreasonably harsh law. The Draco laws were the first written laws of Greece. These laws introduced the state's exclusive role in punishing persons accused of crime, instead of relying on private justice. Thus, the Greeks were the first society to allow any citizen to prosecute the offender in the name of the injured party. We have also the Solents Law of 530 BC. This law repealed the Code of Draco and allowed capital punishment only for a limited number of serious offenses, such as murder or military or political offenses against the state. It also gave the right of representation of every person to claim redress on behalf of another to whom wrong was being done. The 12 tables of 450 BC represented the earliest codification of Roman law. These were later on incorporated into the Justinian Code. It became the foundation of all public and private law of the Romans until the time of Emperor Justinian. It was also a collection of legal principles engraved on metal tablets and set up on the forum. By the 6th century AD, the Justinian Code was written. This was an effort to match a desirable amount of punishment to all possible crimes. However, the law did not survive due to the fall of the Roman Empire but left a foundation of most Western legal codes. Next, we have the French Code. The Burgundian Code of 500 AD, also known as Lex Burgundionum, published in about 475 in Burgundy, now southeastern France. This codification was a combination of German and Roman law, as well as other unique aspects of written private laws which influenced the course of the laws of Europe. It is important to note that the secular laws were also developed in Europe. By 4th AD, Christian philosophers recognizes the need for justice. Some of the proponents of the secular laws were St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas. During this period, three laws were distinguished: the lex externa or external law, the lex naturalis or natural law, and the lex humana or human law. All these laws were intended for the common good, but secular principle states that the human law only becomes valid if it does not conflict with the other two laws. Another group of early legal codes were the Chinese codes. First, we have the Qin Code. During the Qin or Qin dynasty of 221 to 206 BC, the king of Qin managed to defeat most of the other kings and was able to consolidate power over much of the modern-day territory of China. The emperor regarded Han Feize, who was a Chinese jurist, advised and consolidated his rule with a harsh penal code for all, known as the Qin Code. This code eroded the Confucian base from which most Chinese law had benefited to date. Second was the Han Code. In 206 BC, the Han dynasty began in the Confucius legal policies. Thereafter, it remained as the dominant force behind Chinese laws right up to 1949. The legal reform was led by the benevolent spirit of Liu Pang, Emperor of China from 206 to 195 BC. He stated publicly that there were far too many laws. So, he whittled it down to three: the prohibitions against murder, injury and theft. Third was the Tang Code. This code developed during the dynasty of the same name, circa 624. Substantially revised in a second edition which issued in 637. The code revised earlier existing Chinese codes and standardized procedures. For example, there were only two ways to perform capital punishment on a convicted criminal, either beheading or hanging. Fourth was the Ming Codes. The Ming Codes were a succession of consolidations of the criminal laws of China, developed during the Ming dynasty of 1368 to 1644. Finally, was the Qin Code. In 1644, Chinese laws were altered by the publication of the Qin Code, the last of the great law codes of the Chinese dynasties. Some Confucian features of the Qin Code included deference to the family hierarchy where even the accidental death of an elder meant death. Conversely, if a child cursed an elder and the child was then beaten to death, the punishment to the offender was relatively mild. There you go. The early legal systems in the early codes. My name is Justice, representing RKMCS. Thank you for watching. I hope you like it. Please like or follow us here at Facebook and subscribe at our YouTube channel for more videos. Also, visit our website www.criminologysolutions.com.